my cheating STBXW into thinking I was cheating, then Thermo-Nuclear Shinobi Ghosted. Once upon a time, I found myself in a situation I never imagined I would be in. My marriage was falling apart, and it was all because of my soon-to-be ex-wife's infidelity. I never thought she would betray me like that, but life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. It all started when I noticed some strange behavior from my wife. She was always secretive with her phone, constantly texting someone, and making excuses to stay out late. At first, I tried to ignore it, hoping that it was just my paranoia getting the best of me. But as time went on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. I decided to confront her about my suspicions, hoping that we could work through whatever issues were causing her to act this way. But instead of being honest with me, she denied everything and accused me of being paranoid and controlling. I knew deep down that she was lying, but I didn't have any concrete evidence to prove it. That's when I came up with a plan. If my wife was going to accuse me of being unfaithful, then I would give her a taste of her own medicine. I started acting suspiciously, staying out late with friends and being evasive when she asked me where I was going. I even went as far as to leave my phone lying around, knowing that she would snoop through it and find nothing incriminating. Sure enough, my plan worked like a charm. My wife became increasingly paranoid, constantly questioning me about where I had been and who I had been with. She even started accusing me of cheating on her, which only fueled my desire to see my plan through to the end. But just as I was about to reveal the truth to her, I had a change of heart. I realized that stooping to her level wouldn't solve anything, and that I deserved better than to play these games. So instead of confronting her, I decided to disappear without a trace, leaving her to wonder what had happened to me. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but it was the right one for me. I needed to focus on moving forward with my life and leaving behind the toxic relationship that had consumed me for far too long. And while I may never know the truth about what drove my wife to cheat on me, I can take solace in the fact that I am free from her lies and deceit. So here I am, starting fresh and ready to embrace whatever the future may hold. I may have been fooled by my cheating soon-to-be ex-wife, but in the end, I came out on top. And as for her, well, let's just say that karma has a funny way of catching up with people like her. As I disappeared without a trace, I felt a sense of liberation wash over me. No longer was I tied down by the constant worry and anxiety of being in a toxic relationship. Instead, I was free to focus on myself and rebuild my life from the ground up. But even as I embraced this newfound freedom, there was a part of me that couldn't help but wonder what my soon-to-be ex-wife's reaction would be. Would she be frantic with worry, searching for me day and night? Or would she simply move on with her life, relieved to be rid of me once and for all? It was a question that lingered in the back of my mind as I started to put the pieces of my life back together. I threw myself into my work, burying myself in projects and deadlines to keep my mind off the past. And while it helped to distract me temporarily, there were still moments when I found myself consumed by thoughts of my ex-wife and what had led us to this point. Despite my best efforts to move on, there was a part of me that still longed for closure. I wanted answers, not just about her infidelity, but about why she felt the need to betray me in the first place. Did she ever truly love me, or was I just another pawn in her game of deceit? As the days turned into weeks, and then months, I began to accept that I may never get the answers I was searching for. And while it was a bitter pill to swallow, it also allowed me to focus on the present and the future, rather than dwelling on the past. I threw myself into new hobbies and interests, reconnecting with old friends and making new ones along the way. And with each passing day, I felt a little lighter, a little freer, as if the weight of my failed marriage was slowly lifting off my shoulders. But just when I thought I had finally put the past behind me, I received a message out of the blue. It was from my ex-wife, begging for forgiveness and pleading for me to come back to her. At first, I was taken aback by her sudden change of heart. After all that had happened between us, how could she possibly expect me to forgive her? But as I read her message, I realized that it wasn't forgiveness she was seeking, it was closure. She wanted answers just as much as I did, and she was willing to do whatever it took to get them. I agreed to meet with her, if only to finally put an end to the endless cycle of questions and doubts that had been plaguing me since the day I disappeared. And as we sat across from each other in a quiet cafe, I couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness wash over me. Gone was the woman I had once loved with all my heart, replaced by a shell of a person who was desperate for redemption. And as she poured her heart out to me, confessing to all the lies and deceit that had torn us apart, I realized that she was just as broken as I was. In that moment, I knew that I had to let go of the anger and resentment that had been consuming me for so long. Holding onto it would only hold me back from moving forward and finding true happiness once again. So I forgave her, not because she deserved it, but because I deserved to be free from the burden of carrying around so much pain and bitterness. And as I walked away from that cafe, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, knowing that I could finally leave the past behind me and embrace whatever the future may hold. As for my ex-wife, I hope that she finds the peace and redemption she so desperately seeks. But as for me, I am content knowing that I am free from the toxic grip of a failed marriage, ready to face whatever challenges life may throw my way with strength and resilience. And so, as I look back on the journey that brought me to this moment, I can't help but feel a sense of gratitude for all the lessons I've learned along the way. They say that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I truly believe that to be true. With a renewed sense of purpose and a weight lifted off my shoulders, I threw myself even more wholeheartedly into rebuilding my life. I focused on my career, pouring my energy into projects and opportunities that would help me grow both personally and professionally. But even as I moved forward, there were moments when the past crept back into my thoughts, reminding me of the pain and heartache I had endured. It was during those times that I leaned on my friends and family for support, grateful for the unwavering love and encouragement they offered me. And as the days turned into weeks, and then months, I found myself slowly but surely healing from the wounds of my failed marriage. I no longer felt weighed down by the burden of resentment and bitterness, but instead, I embraced each new day with a sense of optimism and hope for the future. But just when I thought I had finally put the past behind me for good, life threw me another curveball. I received a letter in the mail one day, addressed to me from an unknown sender. Curious, I opened it up and began to read. As I scanned the words on the page, my heart sank. It was a letter from my ex-wife, pouring her heart out to me once again. She apologized profusely for the pain she had caused me and begged for another chance to make things right. At first, I was tempted to dismiss the letter and move on with my life. After all, I had already forgiven her once before, and I wasn't sure if I had it in me to go through the same cycle of heartache and disappointment all over again. But as I read her words, I couldn't help but feel a sense of compassion for her. She sounded genuinely remorseful, and I could sense the desperation in her plea for forgiveness. It was clear that she was struggling to come to terms with the mistakes she had made and was searching for a way to make amends. After much deliberation, I decided to meet with her one last time. I owed it to myself to hear what she had to say and to finally put an end to the lingering questions and doubts that had been haunting me for so long. We met at a quiet park, far away from the prying eyes and judgmental whispers of the outside world. And as we sat on a bench beneath the shade of a sprawling oak tree, she poured her heart out to me once again. She spoke of her regrets and the pain she had caused me, of the sleepless nights spent agonizing over the choices she had made. And as I listened to her words, I couldn't help but feel a sense of empathy for her. She was human, just like me, flawed and imperfect but deserving of love and forgiveness nonetheless. In that moment, I realized that holding onto anger and resentment would only hold me back from finding true peace and happiness. I couldn't change the past, but I could choose how I responded to it, and so, with a heavy heart but a clear conscience, I forgave her once again. But this time, it was different. This time, I forgave her not out of obligation or pity, but out of a genuine desire to let go of the pain and move forward with my life. And as I looked into her tear-filled eyes, I knew that she felt the weight of my forgiveness as deeply as I did. As we parted ways that day, I felt a sense of closure wash over me like a wave crashing against the shore. I had finally let go of the past and embraced the future with open arms, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with courage and resilience. And as I walked away from that park, I felt lighter than I had in years, knowing that I was finally free from the chains of my past. I may have been fooled by my cheating soon-to-be ex-wife, but in the end, I emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. With a newfound sense of closure and a weight lifted off my shoulders, I threw myself into embracing the possibilities of the future. I began to explore new passions and interests, eager to discover what else the world had to offer beyond the confines of my failed marriage. One of the things I had always wanted to do, but never had the chance to pursue, was traveling. So I decided to embark on a solo journey, eager to immerse myself in new cultures and experiences. My first destination was a remote village nestled in the mountains of Southeast Asia. As I wandered through the winding streets and bustling markets, I felt a sense of wonder and excitement wash over me. The sights, sounds, and smells of this unfamiliar place filled me with a sense of adventure unlike anything I had ever experienced before. But amidst the hustle and bustle of my travels, there were moments when I found myself reflecting on the journey that had brought me here. I thought about the pain and heartache of my failed marriage and how it had ultimately led me to this moment of self-discovery and renewal. And as I watched the sunset over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, I felt a sense of gratitude wash over me. Gratitude for the lessons I had learned, the growth I had experienced, and the strength I had discovered within myself. But my travels were not just about exploring new places. They were also about connecting with people from all walks of life. Along the way, I met fellow travelers who shared their own stories of love and loss, of triumphs and tribulations. And through these connections, I realized that I was not alone in my journey. One encounter that particularly stood out to me was with a wise old man I met in a small village in India. As we sat beneath the shade of a towering banyan tree, he shared with me his own wisdom about life, love, and the pursuit of happiness. He told me that true happiness could only be found within oneself, and that forgiveness was the key to unlocking the door to a brighter future. He spoke of the importance of letting go of the past and embracing the present moment with an open heart and mind. His words resonated with me deeply, and I realized that I had been carrying around so much baggage from my failed marriage that it was weighing me down and preventing me from fully embracing the beauty of life. So I made a conscious decision to let go of the past once and for all, to forgive not only my ex-wife, but also myself for any mistakes I had made along the way. And as I did, I felt a sense of lightness and freedom wash over me, as if a heavy burden had been lifted off my shoulders. As my journey came to an end and I returned home, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination to live my life to the fullest. I had been fooled by my cheating soon-to-be ex-wife, but I had emerged from the experience stronger and more resilient than ever before. And as I look back on the journey that brought me to this moment, I can't help but feel a sense of gratitude for all the experiences, both good and bad, that have shaped me into the person I am today. So here's to new beginnings, to forgiveness, and to the endless possibilities that await us all. Because no matter what life throws our way, we have the power to rise above it and create the life we've always dreamed of.